What's up, guys? Ted from Immersion here, and I finally got around to doing my review of HasCon 2017. So, there's a lot to talk about. I've done a lot of videos. You've seen a lot of my interviews. Yes, I'm sorry about the mic quality. That's my fault. I was trying a new setup. It was also my first time doing legitimate media coverage for a convention, and I also did it all by myself, so I didn't have anybody to really say, hey, you're out of focus, or things like that. But that's neither here nor there. So let's talk about HasCon. So what is HasCon? HasCon was the first ever Hasbro family event, right? They're big on that family. So it's all about bringing people together of all generations, but mostly a wholehearted family event. This took place from September 8th to September 10th, 2017 in Providence, Rhode Island. Why Rhode Island? That's where their corporate headquarters is. So it was really just down the street at the Dunkin' Donuts Convention Center / the Rhode Island Convention Center. If you guys have ever been to Rhode Island Comic Con, it's the same setup. So they were debuting all sorts of cool stuff there, and I'm going to go through what I liked, what I saw at the convention, and then I have some pretty big gripes against it. So first of all, you can actually go. I will have there's several videos. There's a HasCon playlist on our YouTube, and I will actually be uploading several of my photos. I have 500 photos I have to sort through. Those will all be going up on our Facebook and as well as on the website at some point. There's going to be some of those cut in over over this review as well as some video, but you can also go to the HasCon website here and see a bunch of the stuff here. You see they have some scrolling things. But first, what I wanted to talk about, one, was tickets. So first of all, check out the price on these. Mind you, this is the first convention, so nobody knows how much this is going to, we know how much it's going to cost, but nobody knows what it's going to be like because no one's ever been to one. So is it worth your money? So kids 2 and under get in for free. Okay, fine. 2 and under, maybe we should up that a little bit, but kids ages 3 to 15, $30 for a single ticket, $75 for a 3-day, and then adults 16 and up, $60 for a single day, and $165 for a 3-day. That's a pretty expensive ticket for a convention that no one has ever been to. So keep that in mind. And then you can see all the features, what you'll be able to get, which is basically just access to the convention. You can cosplay, there's entertainment, and we'll go through all of that. And then again, the hours were 12 to 7, 10 to 6, and then 10 to 5. Although those are the audition times, my mistake, because you could take your kids to take auditions. So, okay. So we talked about the tickets. So, what else do they have going on at this? So I should say up front, I was paid. I paid in a ticket in the form of doing media coverage. So I am required to announce that up front. So HasCon, I applied for a media credential badge. This one right here to be exact, and because I applied, they gifted me the ticket with the anticipation that I would go and do a media review of it, so I didn't actually pay for a base ticket for entry. So I just want to get that out up front. However, that's not going to impact the way I review the convention. I'm going to tell you like it is. So the first thing, I got there Friday morning, and you walk up and you got to go find where you're going to go to get in. So you go to pick up your ticket. That was actually a relatively simple process. There was a long list of people working to get you access to your tickets. The only kind of confusing thing is you go to get your ticket at the Rhode Island Convention Center. Then you got to walk outside of the convention center all the way along the block up to the Dunkin' Donuts Convention Center. Go through security at the Dunkin' Donuts Convention Center to walk back to the Rhode Island Convention Center to go to the actual con. So, but I will say walking up was pretty, again, I got my badge. It was relatively quick and simple, and that was that. I did pay for additional tickets, which I will talk about down the road. So I picked those up there as well. Actually, I didn't even pick those up. They were just kind of tacked on to my existing badge. But as you're walking up, there's signage all around. They have the big, they have the Optimus Prime, semi trailers out front. There's a big old Tonka dump truck. There's big HasCon signage as you're walking in. No doubt what's going on. Very nice. So you walk in, then there's the security. It's metal detectors. They're doing bag checks. I actually filmed a video. I don't know if I'll actually dump the whole thing in here, but I went in and out of security really quick. I actually live streamed a bunch of it. I walked right through. It was no problem. And then I basically just followed the crowd into the main area for the convention center. And there was, again, more HasCon signage. There were different cars from I think the Bumblebee car was right there. The was that a Camaro? Right, is there, and then you walk inside, and then it's huge. This is the entire area and of the convention center. And I will say one thing for this: it was the layout of the convention was very well done in that it was very spacious. So remind you, this is primarily a kids convention. So there is tons of room. You're not jam-packed like you are in a typical Comic-Con or something like that, where you have vendors on this side, and you're like walking down a thin row, bumping into people. It was very open, very spacious, which allowed kids and parents and families and everybody to move around. You could even run around and play, and it didn't really get in anybody's way. So that was very good. So you walk right in, and it's Transformers. They've got a giant standee of Optimus Prime, and then they actually hand you right out front, I don't think I have it here with me, a passport, right? So it's actually a really clever idea. It's a little foldable book, and each brand that's there, you can get a stamp from each brand. And basically, this was from Norwegian Airlines, so if you brought the passport and you got each thing stamped, you could go turn it into Norwegian, I think, to get a water bottle. But it was a cool thing. The kids love to do it. They'd go up and get the stamp. They're collecting things, right? But it also forces you to go to each place, so you get to see everything. In the Transformers area, they actually had a couple of the Transformers games for you to demo. They had a screen with like couch beanbag chair situations where they were just screening pretty much every Transformers movie throughout the weekend. So if you were waiting for something and you didn't have anything to do, you could just plop down or plop your kid down or sit down with them and watch Transformers. They had, I think, Barricade. They had a couple other cars there, Transformer cars. They had a ton of props from the movie. They had all the old school Transformer toys as well as the new ones. And this is a common thing, was these cool like diorama setups where you have like all of them fighting each other, but like they're all the action figures in a glass case, but all like stylized up to do different moves. So you had transition from Transformers into Marvel. Now again, this was Hasbro specific stuff, so you had a lot of the Hasbro brands, which were Nerf, My Little Pony, Transformers, and Hasbro also owns Wizards of the Coast. You had Dungeons and Dragons and Magic. But Hasbro also does the toys for Disney and Star Wars. So and Marvel. So they have all those toys. So in the Marvel section, they had a big, huge standee of Hulkbuster, Iron Man, and then again they had a massive, and I took tons of pictures of this, was the diorama of like every Marvel action figure, them all like signed up in one epic battle scene of everybody different fighting. They're like posed up with like blast attacks, and like people are kicking and being thrown and like flying in the air. I think I remember there was like a Morbius with Blade, like, or a Morpheus? No, Morbius. Yeah, Michael Morbius. Being tackled by Blade like in the air. Pretty cool stuff. They had all of the Marvel kind of I don't know if it's the Black series or the Legend series, whatever, the high-end Marvel action figures. They had all of those. They had glass cases with basically the suits of Captain America, Spider-Man for Spider-Man Homecoming. Sorry. I think they had Thor from Thor Ragnarok, or was it a different Thor? They had Black Panther, like, so you get to see all the cool costumes. They had all of the Marvel Legends series like toys. So these are the nice high-end shields and the helmets, like the Star-Lord helmet, and they actually have a Star-Lord costume as well, and the Thor's hammer, so you could play around and try out all those things. They had a section to the side where they had a massive bank of 3D printers that these were Form 2 3D printers, so they're kind of the liquid extrusion resin printers. They had a guy there modeling. they were printing, and they had somebody painting the models. They had a section full of dancing Groots. They were actually printing dancing Groots while I was there. They had a bunch of Thor stuff, because Thor's coming out. Then you basically transition out of Marvel into Star Wars, and there was a ton of stuff there. Full-size Rey speeder and Luke's land speeder. They had a BB-8. They had all these things. They had like a build-your-own lightsaber. They had seminars over the weekend where kids could go up and build their own lightsabers. They had all the action figures. They had like a history of Star Wars. I'm sorry, guys. History of Star Wars and Hasbro like action figures from like the old Kenner days all the way through till now. The Star Wars Black Series things were all being demoed. They had a couple other. They had like a Vader, like a TIE Interceptor like chair you could sit in. They had a big Vader standee. They actually had a cool thing that was for like the front cover of the poster for Last Jedi, where there was basically the red background with like Luke's face, and there was a lightsaber that you could go stand underneath and hold, and you could take pictures. You'd walk into there to Dungeons and Dragons. I gotta say, D&D booth probably the least. It had cool stuff like picture things, but it was the least interactive. There was like one table where 2 people sat, and that was it. There was like no games or anything going on there. They had some old school D&D memorabilia. They had some cool D&D props. They had like places where you could take pictures. They had like some shadow boxes showcasing things, and a table full of dice and temporary tattoos. And Danny Hartel was there dressed as a Batiri Goblin. You could take pictures with her. There was a Magic section where they had Learn to Play Magic, as well as demos for Magic the Gathering Arena, the new online version of Magic that you can kind of play on your computer at the moment, but maybe tablets in the future. Leave that to... I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. Let's try this again. So, the Disney Princess section, they had ones for a lot of the more popular princesses at the moment. They had a big Beauty and the Beast section. They had a Moana section where they had standees you could take pictures with and temporary tattoos. They had a Tangled section where they had like stylists there that would braid your hair Tangled style, so that was really cool. And they were doing like, they'd braid your bangs or your hair, whatever you wanted. Little Frozen section. They had a whole big long row of like larger than life board games. So they had like giant size Operation and giant size Monopoly, and all these different games, as well as like giant size Pie Face, and also demoing new Hasbro games. There was a Beyblade section where you could make your own Beyblade and try them all out. And they actually had a Beyblade stage where kids could go up and like battle their Beyblades. And they actually had an announcer who was live announcing and like casting the Beyblade arenas. And they were actually, the kids were getting into it. The crowd was into it. It was very cool.
First finish! Oh my goodness. Sammy with a big burst to go up 2-0 on Battle Station 2. Mark and Sammy were locked in. Mark. All right, Mark focused here. We'll see. And Sammy survived.
A big Nerf section, which was a big hit with a lot of people. They were demoing like the Dude Perfect, Frisbee golf, as well as football, but then they had basically every Nerf blaster for the current generation of Nerf blasters there that you could all shoot and demo and see how they worked. They had the Modulus where you could make your own Nerf gun. They had a wall that had everything that's currently out, and then a big inflatable arena where you basically put on Nerf glasses, picked your blaster, and then went in there for 5 minutes, and everybody just shot each other up, picking up darts off the ground, just having a fun time. There was a Trolls section from the Trolls movie where they actually had people trollify your hair. And, you know, you could get your hair sprayed up and colored. They were also showcasing the Troll movie there as well. So there's another one. There was different timings throughout the day. They had the people dressed up in the big troll outfits. I actually completely skipped over the My Little Pony section, which was one of the larger sections here. And again, the movie is coming out. The new My Little Pony movie is coming out in a couple weeks, so there was a lot of stuff for that. They had Ponify Yourself, which was a whole section with professional stylists doing hair coloration and glittering, adding in extensions and things for all the little girls or guys. You could get, any hair. I saw a couple guys with like pink beards and stuff. They had a little dress-up section where you could dress up and take pictures. They had a little stage where they would showcase episodes from the new series as well as do little panels. A couple of different games and things. A lot of photo ops. They had a big coloring wall that was blank when I got there, and basically you could just take crayons and just color ponies in. Again, a lot of photo opportunities there. And then kind of the middle section was, there was the Play-Doh booth, which again, they had a Play-Doh creator kitchen where there was a guy basically teaching, he's going through, you're trying out, make like spaghetti and meatballs, right? And he'll show you the different tools and kind of like live cast that's happening. They were demoing the Da Vinci, which is a cool new Play-Doh product. They did an interview with that because I thought that was really cool, or newer, I should say. And then demoing the Play-Doh Touch, which is their new app where you take a picture of something you make with Play-Doh and it ports it to the game. Littlest Pet Shop. They had For Real Friends, where they had cool controllable pets you could play with. There was, I think, Baby Alive and Hanazuki, which I'm not even sure what that is, but that was there. But kids did seem to like it because there was like a video screen, and people come up and talk to her, and there was clearly somebody behind the screen, asking and answering questions. And then they had like just a big section in the middle was where you would go to shop and buy the exclusives. They had the HasCade, which was a bunch of board games. Or not board games, video games. Some were being demoed there for the first time, and some were more specific to the different brands. There was Dungeon Chess for Dungeons & Dragons. There was Magic the Gathering things. Tomb of Annihilation. Tales from Candlekeep was one that I did a demo of. That was there. And there was also this new game coming out by Harmonix, which is like a DJing game where you DJ with cards. I can't actually remember the name of it. When I get to later on, I'll describe it. I think it's like, I don't know if I have any pictures of it right available to tell you guys, but it was pretty cool. I played that. Then there was also like a G.I. Joe section where they had some old school G.I. Joes, but they were kind of, I feel like, on their own, like out of the way. They didn't really seem to get as much love as the other brands. Then on the upper floor, there was a really tiny like vendor section in like the Tonka truck booth. And then in the back, like way out of the way, was like the D&D room, which was like 2 or 3 rooms. And there was actually another vendor hall, which I will splice in some of the video here. This vendor hall actually was out at a bar with other media folks. They had no idea that this vendor room existed because it was so far removed and back behind curtains. It wasn't very big. It only had like 4 or 5 little places where you could buy things, and then like a Dunkin' Donuts place where you could get free like munchkins because it's the Dunkin' Donuts Convention Center. And the largest section up on that top floor was for Magic, all the Magic games. There were a couple of stages. There actually was one stage back in the Dunkin' Donuts Convention Center, which is like the main stage where certain events happened. And then there was a couple smaller family stages, and then again, there was like the media room where we could go to like plug into the internet and make videos and things. So that was sort of the overall layout of the con. I thought the layout worked very well, except for kind of squirreling away the vendor room in the back corner and people not knowing it was there, and putting it sort of behind the exclusive D&D VIP room. So like, if you just saw VIP stuff, you just turn around and leave. Oh, there was an artist alley, which was not an alley. It was a room with like 6 artists in it. And I didn't feel like they get showcased very well. So that's sort of the layout of the convention. So let's talk events. So we can pull up the schedule here. So let's jump back over here. So you can see there were some D&D events and Magic events. They were kind of all throughout the day. There were, again, I will talk about this. There's some issues there. They actually had, again, one of the cool things was they did have auditions if you wanted to have your kid audition. So if we click on this, if your kids are between 3 and 15, chance to become a Hasbro star, you know, possibly demonstrating a product or things of that nature. Oh, I forgot Sesame Street and Play School and Mr. Potato Head were also there. You can see there's different opportunities. I didn't actually get to go to a lot of the panels because of the way the D&D thing worked, which I'll see if that's actually still listed here. And then we can talk about horrible scheduling issues. But Stan Lee was there. We'll talk about the guest list in a little bit. But you can see there were sessions throughout the day in various places. You know, the main stage, there was the Discovery Family stage. Then there was these dinners, right? So you could go, they were ticketed, you had to pay to get into them, and they were in different places. You can see they weren't at like 6:30 to 9:30. This is the Renaissance Hotel. The Omni was where the My Little Pony event was, and there was people were going to be there demoing the movie, demoing upcoming stuff. There was like a swag bag with autographs and things, and then stuff that happened all throughout the day. And it was more or less the same thing on Saturday and Sunday. You can see here's the entire convention. They did actually have an app, which I didn't realize they had until, I think, Saturday, because it wasn't very well like described that there was an app there. Let's take a look at the guest list. So probably the biggest draw, I'm going to say, is probably Stan Lee and Mark Wahlberg. There are a couple of New England-based sports celebrities that were there. You know, Final Cut King. There's an EB family, you know, some YouTube personalities here. Action Movie Kid. Actually, this like a Flow Rider was there, and there was a lot of like voice actors. We had, you know, Optimus Prime, Frank Welker, Peter Cullen, Optimus Prime, and Megatron. James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy. Then we had some My Little Pony voice actors, people behind Magic the Gathering team. Dude Perfect was there. Again, I'm just kind of scrolling through. There's a couple of cosplayers. But you can see the guest list was relatively small. And I think, yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to get off of the main website here. So, as you saw, the guest list was kind of small. And most of those were, you'd want to get, like, the tickets, you'd have to wait in line to get there. Some of them, though, like I went to a My Little Pony voice actors panel, and I just walked right in, and the room was kind of small, and it was intimate, and everybody got to really, you felt like you could really, yeah, everybody could hear. Things were relatively well handled, you know, questions and things of that nature. But I did actually hear from some of the other folks that the Transformers panel, it was supposed to have Mark Wahlberg in it. It was a 45-minute panel, and he didn't show up till the last 5 minutes of the panel. And then basically they didn't extend it. He showed up for the last 5 minutes. They did it, and then he left. So, you know, that was something that happened at the con. So we talked about sort of the panels. There was, again, things going on. I didn't get to go to that many, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. We talked about the layout. We talked about the guest list. We talked about how expensive the tickets were. We talked about things you could do at the con. Again, like I said, tons of things for kids to do. And, you know, they wanted to go around, they wanted to collect the passport. You could go play in the Play-Doh thing. You could go shoot a bunch of Nerf guns. You could take some pictures in the various different areas. You could learn to play Magic the Gathering. You could play a ton of board games. You could go play Giant Monopoly or Hungry Hungry Hippos. You could watch cartoons because there were different things. You can build your Beyblade, play some games, you know, spin some prize wheels. There was a lot of those things. So a ton of things that were great for the younger crowd. And I did not see one really upset kid, with the exception of like, I would like to stay here, please, mom and dad. And they were like, no, we got to keep going. But so let's talk about the kind of older crowd. So, it seemed like it had a little bit of an identity crisis, right? You have all this stuff you want to do for little kids, and then you have Dungeons and Dragons, and you have Magic the Gathering. Things that, again, can be enjoyed by children, but are typically geared towards your teenage or older audience. So, we were kind of on the 4th or 5th floor, back out of the way, and weren't really handled well. So, let me tell you my experience and my issues that I had with this. So, I paid an extra $200 for a VIP D&D ticket. The Weekend Warrior Pass, it was called. What did that get me? It got me, actually, I wonder if we can actually look it up, and I'll see if I can just read it off to you. If not, I can just tell you it by memory. It doesn't have... Okay. Oh, we can look at a couple. Okay, yeah, it does. All right, so let's take a look. We'll go back over here. So this is a badge add-on, right? Dungeons and Dragons. You can see there's the Life of Adventure, the D&D experience, and the Weekend Warrior. $200, right? So here we go. What did you get? You'll receive a copy. Some of these things were good. This is why I did it. 2 5-hour sessions of D&D in the new module, up to 6 players. So you got a copy of Tomb of Annihilation, the Tomb of Annihilation Dice Tin and Dice, an Ultra Pro D&D character folio, and a convention-exclusive Tomb of Annihilation dice bag, which I think I showed you guys before, but it comes with all the D&D dice. As part of the event, you'll have a special encounter with one of our celebrity DMs, which include Mike Merles, Chris Lindsay, and more, which was not... There, it was a lie. There was not more. It was just those two. $50 Hasbro Toy Shop online gift card. And was that it? 1 5-hour slot the first day and another one on the second day. Okay, so that's what it says. Now let me tell you something different. When I went to sign up for this, it said special celebrity DMs, which include Mike Merles, Chris Lindsay, Matt Mercer, Satine Phoenix, and more. And, that was a thing. So I was excited. You can see there's all these other add-on tickets that let you do other things. Then, if you scroll up here, you could get the Dungeons and Dragons Superfan ticket for $600, folks. $600. What does that get you? It gets you the full 3-day pass, a $100 Hasbro gift card, the Weekend Warrior ticket, so what I got, a special encounter run by a live celebrity DM, 1 reserved seat to the D&D live game, a goodie bag including HasCon exclusive D&D dice, a signed copy of Volo's Guide to Monsters with the alternate cover, an Ultra Pro merchandise, and more, access to the VIP only area at the Dunkin' Donuts Center, featuring comfy chairs, charging stations, snacks, and more, guest panel VIP, access to a special VIP early lineup when attending guest panels, and reserved theater seating. So, okay, and we can see here, you must choose one of the following time slots: 9 a.m. Friday and 9 a.m. Saturday, 7 p.m. Friday and 7 p.m. Saturday, 2 p.m. Saturday, and 9 a.m. Sunday. And then you get all this other stuff. So, the Weekend Warrior ticket, you got to choose this time too. So I chose 7 p.m. Friday and 7 p.m. Saturday. I looked at the schedule and I said, well, I'm doing media coverage for HasCon. I'm going to take as much time as I need at the con so I can see everything, take pictures, and then I'll do my thing for myself at 7 p.m. So that was it. So I was at the con trying to find where I pick up my copy of Tomb of Annihilation. I got to run around. Nobody knew where to go. So I happened to walk up to where the D&D stuff was, and I saw it was the folks from Baldwin Games running it, people that I've met before at other cons, and I said, hey, I'm coming back. I've got the 7 p.m. time slot. Just wanted to check, it's level 1 characters, or do I need to grab a character from here? And they're like, oh, you're at the 7 p.m. time slot. And I said, yes. And they're like, didn't you hear? It got rescheduled till 3 o'clock. Mind you, it's 2:30 right now, and I have none of my gear on me. So they say, oh, yeah, it got rescheduled to 3. Can you make that? And I said, oh, yeah, but I got to go run back to my hotel and cancel all the interviews I scheduled for this afternoon, which I had scheduled several. So I did that. And they said, well, there was supposed to be an email. And I said, well, I didn't get it. And they said, well, neither did anybody else. So I ran back and ran over, and I was like, okay, cool. So mind you, the convention center closes... the convention basically ends at 7 or 8 o'clock that night. So I basically showed up for the first couple hours in the morning and then got locked into a D&D game from 3 to 8 p.m. Didn't get to do anything else. So I missed out on half of the convention on day one. Tomorrow, we're scheduled at 2 p.m., so 2 to 7. Again, missing half of the convention. Someone who's media coverage, this hurts. This is why I came here, was to see stuff and take pictures and film videos and interviews, and you just cut me out of half of this. But I paid for this, so I want to go to it, right? And, you know, D&D is really my wheelhouse, what I do here on the channel, and to truly experience HasCon and its D&D stuff, I need to play in it. So that happened, right? So as you saw on the Weekend Warrior ticket, down the bottom here, I was supposed to get a special encounter run by one of the celebrity DMs, Mike Merles or Chris Lindsay. Didn't happen. Just didn't happen. Got no refund, got no excuse. It just, there wasn't time. I got my, again, nothing against my DM. He was very good at what he did. And he ran 10 hours of Tomb of Annihilation, and we had a lot of fun. But my special encounter run by someone from the D&D team just never happened. My whole table, all 5 of us, just never happened. On the first day, somebody showed up at 7 p.m. They were turned away. We've been playing Tomb of Annihilation for 4 hours. You know, you're going to be starting in the middle of an adventure at level 1, and some of us were already level 3 or 4 by that point. So he was turned away. Why? Why did this happen? Before I get into the more complaints. Well, it turns out HasCon told Baldwin Games, you guys can do this. And then the convention center told HasCon, no, you can't. We locked down at 8 p.m. We can't have anybody in after it's locked. And that was it. Like, they didn't tell there's no argument, no, like, let's try to accommodate. They just canceled it and rescheduled things. So, again, had I decided to show up at 7 o'clock at the convention and just show up that day on a Friday and not taking off of work, I would have missed out on my whole first day of D&D. And I would have to reschedule again. Things I paid for. So that happened. Then, and then, you know, you saw they did some of those after parties at other hotels. Granted, this was D&D Adventure League. This wasn't like a big old huge party or like the big Magic events, right? We only needed like a room with 3 tables that could accommodate 20 people. You could have just rented out a hotel room in one of the attached hotels to the con, and people could have gone to it, played our game at 7 p.m., and still enjoyed the convention all day, and nothing would have changed. So, what about this live event that we were told about here? Didn't happen. They're supposed to be on Sunday at, I think, 3 p.m. Matt Mercer was supposed to run a live game at HasCon. I don't know if I can still find the information online, but he was supposed to run a D&D game live at HasCon. I know I did a coverage of it in one of my D&D Weekly Update videos. Supposed to run this with like Satine Phoenix and a couple of folks that were from like familiar with D&D and some folks that weren't. It was supposed to be a really cool thing. I was excited about it. I didn't know that it wasn't happening. When I checked earlier in the week, like Tuesday, to look at the events, it was still listed. I found out when I got there on Friday from one of the guys at my table. He had tweeted Matt Mercer about a week or 2 prior and said, hey, are you going to be there? And he said, no, they canceled on me. Apparently they also canceled on Satine because she wasn't there. And if you look, one of the things you're spending money for your $600 ticket is a reserved seat to something that never happened. So they didn't refund those folks because I talked to the guy. There was somebody in the 7 p.m. that was rescheduled. So not only was he scheduled for something that rescheduled that made him miss half of the convention, which means that his VIP only area was okay, but his guest panel VIP and his reserved theater seating to get him into the other panels, he didn't get to use because he missed out on half of those panels because his D&D time got rescheduled. And he said, I wouldn't have spent $600 to get reserved seating and access to the VIP stuff if I knew I couldn't go to the panels and there was no live game. I would have spent $200 for the Weekend Warrior ticket and saved $400 and bought, and done something else that I would have enjoyed, play Magic or, whatever else. So, and I spoke to him. There was no conversation of a refund from Hasbro or HasCon. and no accommodation for the fact that they added in these gift cards later on. That was added, I think, but that was added for basically every other VIP ticket got those added, I think, as like a little bit of a bonus. But that still doesn't make up for it. And again, it's only a Hasbro toy shop online. You couldn't even use it to buy this stuff from the Hasbro toy shop at the convention. It had to only be online. So he was pretty livid. And he also didn't get an encounter run by Chris Lindsay or Mike Merles because it just didn't happen for our time. We walked in to get set up, and Chris Lindsay had finished running a game for a different group, but they also rescheduled there was the D&D monster building panel, which none of us in my group got to go to because they scheduled it during our D&D time, so we didn't get to go see the cool build a monster and have it drawn during the game, like during the panel, which is something I really was excited to go to. And they rescheduled our Saturday time for us to be at 2 p.m. and that panel to start at 3, so none of us could go. Why couldn't they have scheduled the panel at 2 and our game at 3, which would have allowed us to go to the panel and then go play? I don't know. And I went back on Sunday to talk to the folks at Baldwin Games. I was like, hey, this just didn't happen. Did they give like a reason? And they're like, oh, we wish we told you there was a game this morning. So I missed out on that. No one told me. They did go out above and beyond and actually hook me up with some nice Adventure League stuff that they had there to make up for it, which was something that I went and asked about, and they hooked me up with it, which was nice, but it wasn't a requirement. But yeah, some folks shelled out $600 to have their time switched, half the stuff they were paying for not added to, they didn't get it, and then they weren't refunded as far as I know. Again, I haven't heard anything. I reached out to folks at Hasbro. I met them there, and I said, hey, give me your email. I'd like to give you guys some criticism. I know it's your first convention, but I want you to know what happened. And I told them full out what I just told you guys. I paid for this stuff. I didn't get to do it. And that's, like, what are you going to do for me? And I haven't gotten any response. But they're going to take the criticism and the comments to heart to try to update if there is a second HasCon. I assume there will be next year, but at least this will help impact that. So I also had spoke to one of my followers on Twitter who was also at there, and he had issues with the Magic situation, which I didn't really deal. Again, I don't really play Magic the Gathering, but he got involved in that as well. So let me pull up his message here. So, he said, let's see, Magic the Gathering revealed the product at an event. On Saturday, me and my friend waited 2 hours in line to register for Iconic Masters sealed event, the only way to play Iconic Masters that weekend. Past time, the organizer of the event seemed unsympathetic and offered a solution way late into my time in line. They only had 2 registration slots open. Vendors told me they were super restricted in what they could sell and how they paid out cash for cards. No online credit to their stores would be given without being charged state tax. Friend went on Sunday, and they got a free HasCon Iconic Masters playmat for entering the $60 tournament. Asked the organizer about it and said it was unplanned, unannounced special add-on for some event times on Sunday. Lastly, the food and water was way overpriced. I get that, but also the tickets. My friend got Groupon tickets at half the price I paid, bit angry about that. Otherwise, when not extremely busy, the Nerf area was cool, the board game area was interesting, and the promos were fairly easy to get, so that's positive. So, some feedback from someone else who went. I will tell you that there was HasCon exclusives. I'm sure everybody saw that. This was the big D&D one, was the My Little Pony dice tin. They actually, when you picked up your badge, they stamped it. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, they stamped it, and you were limited to only 2 of everything. And basically, if you'd gotten there early Friday morning, you were limited to 4 of each thing, and then they were worried that they were going to sell out, so they cut it back to 2. So you can see, I bought the Magic the Gathering cards and the D&D dice, but that was it. And some of these things had already sold out by the time I'd gotten there, and several other had sold out through the course of the weekend. So you had no real way to be able to go back and get more unless you had somebody else's badge. So that was something. They had the exclusives there. Let's see. What else did we need to talk about? After parties, again, there were no unpaid after parties. There only were the VIP after parties. There was nothing scheduled for anybody else or general admission folks. Yeah, so we talked about the layout of the con, the panels, the guest list, the tickets, my complaints about the issues with not knowing its identity and then kind of screwing over the D&D and Magic folks. I will say I think that Friday should be Adults' Day, as it were. Every convention pretty much has Sunday as Kids' Day. This whole convention was Kids' Day. Not that they need to do anything different, but Friday, kids were in school, and it was less crowded, and it would have been cooler to focus more on the adult-oriented things like Magic and D&D on the Friday when we have more time to to do that. And again, people spoke about the food. There was stuff in the convention center. It was con prices. It was very expensive. There's a lot of stuff nearby if you're willing to walk around, but there was things there that were easy to access. Cafes and little food places. The layout it's in a nice area of Rhode Island. As far as the city goes. And there's amenities not too far. Again, the Sky Bridges one is attached to a mall, so you can go over to the mall and shop or go to restaurants over there. What else do I need to talk about HasCon? Again, I think I beat the issues I had pretty hard, so I'm not gonna rag on that too much more. But like I said, if they fix those things, I'm very likely to go back again next year, especially if they'll send me there on a media ticket. As I did enjoy myself, but it would have been better had I had someone to help me do the interviews, and a better camera setup and a mic setup, which is my own internal issues. So lastly, I guess I can talk about what I got at HasCon. So I obviously got everything you heard about from that D&D package, Tomb of Annihilation, the dice tins, and things of that nature. You saw I picked up the Magic the Gathering cards as well as the Pony Dice tin. I picked up the HasCon exclusive little pins. They had a whole series of pins. They had exclusive HasCon stuff like the dice tin and other things, but they also had exclusive HasCon merchandise for 2017. They had a slew of hat pins or pins of various different kinds of things. They were giving out. I think I got this from Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest. I got an HP counter. I don't know what else I have around here. I snagged, these two, a black and a green Magic deck. So I will tell you, over any other convention that I've ever been to, this was the convention to stay late on Sunday for the free stuff. It's no secret that at most comic or anime conventions, definitely comic conventions, if you're there late on the Sunday afternoon when the convention is closing down, people want to get rid of their stuff that they don't want to take home with them. So if there's independent vendors, you may be able to cut a deal and haggle them for a price. But the promo people are just giving away their stuff. And never have I seen this more so than at HasCon. So I was walking around the last hour, let's say. So I walked through, just did a loop around. I walked through the My Little Pony section. They were giving out, they're doing a new nail polish thing for the movie, right? So they were just giving out, girls were going and getting free nail polish. They were giving out guitar straps and, the web belts and things that you'd find in a Hot Topic that would charge you $20-something. They were just giving out belts. They were giving out books and coloring books. I know if the kids were involved in the Beyblade tournament, they got to keep their Beyblades. I don't think Nerf gave anything out as far as I could tell. The Troll booth was giving out Troll dolls. Play-Doh had just bins of the small size Play-Doh containers. They were just giving out those. You could just go. I saw a mom walk by with a stack of 20 plus of these. Free Play-Doh, right? The Littlest Pet Shop, you could do paint and take Littlest Pets. That was a thing. They were giving out exclusive HasCon, $1,000 Monopoly bills, but I'm sure they gave out other stuff if you were there at the right time. Transformers, they were giving away posters and action figures. Those kind of stuff I talked about at the Star Wars booth, the speeders that they were cordoned off and you couldn't go anywhere near them. towards the end of the con, they opened them up so you could go climb into Luke's land speeder to take pictures, or climb on Rey's speeder to take pictures. I happened to walk by the D&D booth, and those Ultra Pro character folios, they just had a stack of them, and they were just handing them out. Here you go. You walked by, you said, hey, can I have one? They'd say, sure, here you go. They were giving out a deck of every color for Magic the Gathering. They ran out of decks, so they started giving out the HasCon exclusive deck boxes. Then they ran out of those, they were giving out other deck boxes. I walked by, and somebody said, here, you want the playmat? And they just gave me the playmat as I walked by. What other things were given out? Like, it was just like they were just trying to get rid of everything. I told you they had the lightsaber, build your own lightsaber section for the kids. I don't know what they were called, like the saber builders or whatever the toys are, where they had all sorts of crazy stuff, and you could just put them all together and build crazy lightsaber inventions. At the end of the day, those folks, they just gave out everything they had there. Every single lightsaber, like all of those, they walked around, found some kid that needed one, and they just gave him a lightsaber. And like, here you go, kid. Have fun. And they gave them all away. I was trying to see if I could get one, but they wouldn't give them to me. They were only giving them to kids. I saw people taking like the standees and stuff. Like someone took one of the D&D dinosaur standees. They had a table just full of all the D&D dice, and people were just grabbing handfuls of dice, and that was no problem. The Tonka booth was giving out lanyards, and they were giving out sunglasses. Then at the end of the day, they just gave away all the Tonka trucks that they had there, like the full-size trucks, just gave them away. So, like, I will tell you that this was a convention to stay. I mean, Hasbro was a toy company. They were just, I bet you if I was in the Nerf booth, I bet you I probably could have scored a Nerf gun at the end of the day if I was there. They probably would have given him away. It was just liquidation. It was crazy to see this. Just like, I've never seen more free stuff given out. So I gained a lot of free stuff. I went to I bought a couple of the HasCon exclusive stuff. So they had a couple of t-shirts. We Love Fine was there. I bought like one or two We Love Fine t-shirts, D&D t-shirts that I hadn't seen. I think that's pretty much it. There wasn't much else there. Wormwood Gaming was there. There was a couple of other vendors. Cool Stuff Inc., Wormwood Gaming. But again, they didn't have a whole huge area, and you might not even know that they were there. So that was something. Yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. I realized this was kind of a little bit of a ranty, rambling video. But again, like I said, there will have been, hopefully, pictures and things spliced throughout the video to show you all the stuff I was talking about. And again, you can check out my my various interviews and things on YouTube. And I think I have a walk-around video that I did on when I went to stream on the first day. So I'll probably grab that and throw that on YouTube as well, just as like my walking into HasCon. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for me. Like I said, things that I liked. It was very family friendly. They definitely hit that mark. Kids were enjoying themselves. Everybody's having a good time. Parents were liking it. It was a very cool, chill crowd. There was no issues that I heard of anything. A lot of fun activities and panels. The adult-oriented things like Magic and D&D seems like they need a little bit of help. Scheduling issues, communication issues between convention center, and ticket goers was a big deal, to the point where some of us who spent a lot of money for custom tickets got shafted out of what we were supposed to get, with no talk about compensation or refunds. No after party. Not that convention after parties are usually anything that are ever any good. The opportunity to have them there is sometimes nice, just whether to have the option to go if you want. Or, more fan-oriented ones created would be a good thing if there was more of that done. A lot of free stuff given out. A lot of us in the D&D room, we got free food, cookies and donuts and coffee and all that. That was kind of nice. The free, donut holes, and they were giving out these Monster Energy slushies, which were pretty good. A better guest, more guests to draw people in would be cool. There was still a good guest list, but I feel like, once they kind of pick up steam, they'll be able to gather more people. Maybe turn down the ticket price a little bit. They're a little expensive. My wife was going to go with me, but she was like, I'm not spending $165 for a ticket. That's too much money. And I got to agree with her. I mean, maybe, but apparently you can get a Groupon and get the ticket cut in half if you know where to look. So, but again, there was little communication. The app could have been a lot better. It didn't it would let you see the schedule on the app, but you couldn't add them to your own schedule or set reminders. It would just like show you what they were and when they were. But like, why can't I make my schedule by adding things, you know, like in other convention-based apps? But, you know, they had an app which puts them above Gen Con, which is, you know, something else. Would I go back next year? Yes. Would I go back if they didn't give me a media ticket? That will be a little bit of a tougher call. The fact that I got to go and experience it without having to pay, although I did pay for a specialty ticket, definitely helped me. And I went to things that I wouldn't normally go to do coverage of it, and that I think was cool, because some of the areas I probably wouldn't have paid much attention to, and if I went there just for D&D, I wouldn't have had much of a good time because there wasn't a lot to do. So anyway, guys, sorry for the rambling video, but I wanted to give you a full in-depth review of HasCon, everything that I saw in my experience. If you went to HasCon, please sound off in the comments and let me know what you thought. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why or why not? Did you want to go but didn't end up going? And if so, why? Like I said, let me know. I'm very curious to see what other people's experience was when they were there. So, especially if you guys are anybody with kids and you happen to go, I want to know what your experience was like. I imagine it was very different than mine. So, anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.